was impressed when I first came to the University of New Mexico by the sense of space, by the buildings that shape the space of the campus. It was a long time ago, and when I walked out into the plaza in front of Zimmerman Library, I just thought, oh my God, you just had this monumental sense of space. I will never forget that.
Well, I had decided to study electrical engineering, and I realized that I was not able to do calculus at all. I just could not comprehend it. The superintendent of schools had married a cousin of mine, and so I told him what had happened, that not being able to fathom calculus, I must give up my engineering efforts. And she said, well, why don't you think about architecture? It doesn't require calculus.
Van Dorn Hooker, as the campus architect, was a contemporary architect, and yet he worked for John Gamim. He started as an architect from a place of respect for New Mexican architecture, the landscape of New Mexico, the cultural landscapes of New Mexico. As a contemporary architect, however, he realized that it is impossible to replicate time and space. So you can't go back. And so he, as many architects, alluded to the past, but brought the architecture and the landscape and space around the building into the present.
He was of the old school where he didn't design the buildings. His job was to bring the best people to the table to design the buildings. And so he respected the people that he hired and commissioned to do it.
The area that's now the duck pond back in the 60s was a parking lot. And the roads went through there. So it was a major controversy when the duck pond was affirmed by the regents as a project because it would take out the parking lot. And there were a lot of faculty and students who argued against it because they wanted that convenient parking. My father saw the duck pond as an important element of the central element of the campus and a defining element of the pedestrian core of the campus. Which it is really blossomed into that now. It helps pull the campus together. So the idea, my father fought for it because it was, I believe, part of the original Warnicki plan to have the central water feature of some kind. It's certainly well used.
It was highly criticized. The editor, the Lobo, called it Marina on the Mesa.
Van Dorn came to us and said, I would like to create this professorship to honor my wife, who was one of the very first licensed women architects in New Mexico, and certainly what he would characterize as a wonderful life in design together. And so when Van Dorn established this endowment here at the School of Architecture and Planning, he said he hoped that we would bring contemporary architects and planners to the school to work in the studios with our students, to lecture to the community, to talk about how it is that an architect, urban designer, planner can affect change, great change, and bring great beauty to the place in which they practice and work. And so we have brought world-class architects and planners with his endowment through his generosity.
I think my father will be remembered in part for his love of New Mexico, and has supported the state and the university archives. He'll be remembered for really the implementation of the plan for the campus. That he ensured that it became what it is today and didn't veer off of the essential elements of the original plan as the regents came and went and presidents came and went. So he had that kind of enduring presence, that guiding hand, stayed with the university.